What if I told you the entire world is about to make a move that could wreck the US economy and change the planet forever? For decades, countries have been buying US debt like it was pure gold, but now they're walking away. And if this trend keeps up, the US won't just lose money, it'll lose global control. In this video, you'll find out why, if the world stops buying US debt, everything changes, and no one's ready for what's coming. At first glance, America's national debt looks like just another insane number on the screen, over $34 trillion. But that number isn't just economic trivia. It's the invisible engine behind America's global power. The US funds wars, handouts, infrastructure, and even welfare checks with one trick. It sells debt, those famous treasuries, to investors and governments worldwide. And until now, the world played along. Countries like China, Japan, the UK, and Saudi Arabia have been buying US bonds for decades. Why? Because the dollar was seen as the ultimate safe bet, and the US economy, despite the crashes, stayed at the heart of the global system. When these countries buy treasuries, they're basically lending America money, letting it spend way more than it earns. The problem? That trust is fading. This machine only runs if the world believes in it. But it takes just one spark, a political meltdown, a trade war, a hit to credibility, and investors start to flinch. And when trust disappears, money runs. What happens if they stop buying? The US Treasury would have to jack up interest rates to lure in buyers. That's when the dominoes fall. Inflation surges, stock markets crash, government spending gets slashed, and chaos takes over. Here's what most people don't get. America doesn't rule the world just with tanks and missiles. It rules with financial trust. If that trust vanishes, if the world stops backing US debt, the whole house of cards comes crashing down, and the fallout won't be local. It'll hit every country tied to the dollar, basically the whole planet. If the world stops buying US debt, the blowback is instant and brutal. Interest rates shoot through the roof. Why? Because the US government would need to throw crazy high returns just to get someone to lend them. Cash. That means billions more in interest payments every single month, draining money that currently pays for roads, schools, and social programs. With the budget already maxed out, America would have two options: cut hard or fire up the money printers. But printing more cash, that's a recipe for disaster, out of control inflation, and when the dollar drops in value, the entire globe feels it. Oil, gold, microchips, wheat, it's all priced in dollars. If that currency starts to tank, global trade goes into free fall. Prices spike. Importing nations hit the wall and the world economy starts to wobble. Fast. Even worse. Without buyers for its debt, the US loses its ability to fund its military dominance. Jets, ships, overseas bases, it all runs on cheap money. If that pipeline dries up, the empire starts pulling back, and rivals like China, Russia, and even regional powers start making moves. This isn't just an economic crisis, it's a global power shift. This isn't sci-fi, it's a real even rising threat. The confidence propping up America isn't built to last forever. If it cracks, what feels impossible today becomes unavoidable tomorrow. The US economy wouldn't fall gradually. It would collapse like hair card tower knocked over by one small question: what if we don't trust the dollar anymore? While most people are zoned out, the major players are already making moves. China, America's economic arch-rival, has been quietly dumping dollars and stacking gold. Russia, iced out by sanctions, sped things up and now sells oil to India and China without using a single dollar. This is a silent, strategic, and laser-focused operation, slowing down America's financial dominance. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are openly talking about launching their own global currency, something to rival the dollar. Their goal? Build a financial system free from Washington's grip. And the wildest part? Even America's old-school allies are testing the waters. France recently bought natural gas from China and paid in yuan, not dollars. That's a huge red flag that the old order is starting to crack. What does that mean? The de-dollarization wave has already started. Big league countries are gearing up for the day the dollar falls, and once the first ones jump ship, others follow. When that happens at scale, the world wakes up to a new reality, one where the US no longer calls the financial shots. If the dollar drops, no one gets out clean. Central banks holding trillions in US assets will see them tank overnight. Pension funds, foreign investments, stock markets, everything starts to shake. Borrowing gets harder, money gets tighter, and fear takes over. And the weakest economies? They'll crash first, hard. Without a dominant currency, the world slips into financial chaos. Countries scramble to protect themselves, buying gold, stashing up regional currencies, or forming their own trade blocs. Globalization, as we know it, would rewind. Trade gets slower, riskier, and way more expensive. And tensions, economic and military, would spike big time. And the US? It would be forced to look inward like never before. Cut spending, shut down overseas bases, rethink the whole economic model. The American dream would stop being an export. And for the rest of the world, the fall of the dollar's supremacy would mark the birth of a new world order, more unstable, more divided, and maybe even more dangerous. The world is shifting and fast. If the dollar goes down, nothing stays the same. And while most are still asleep, you're waking up to what truly matters. Subscribe now, because in the next videos, I'll reveal what no one else is telling you about the new global economic war.